hour and a half, 2 hours, man. Like that's real.
What is up, football fans? We're back for another episode of Inside the Pigskin here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network. Obviously, Scott's not here. Him and Candy are on vacation, enjoying some much-needed downtime. Got a little bit of list of a new lineup. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Obviously, we got one of our returning guests here, Mr. Marvin Powell. Marvin, how are you feeling this afternoon, my friend?
Feel good, man. A lot of things to talk about here, and excited to be here on a Tuesday night.
Yes, sir. And no stranger to the South Florida Tribune Media Network, Rudy Reyes. Rudy, appreciate you hopping in on here and spelling us last minute that give it someone else to hear talk to.
No, hey, not a problem at all. Thanks for having me on. I certainly appreciate it. Look forward to get this going. I know we're in a twilight zone for sports right now. It's the only thing that's really relevant on is Major League Baseball.
I mean, yeah, we're 72 days until we hit the back to regular season NFL football. You just had the Stanley Cup end. You just had the NBA Finals end, and now we're literally left with for lack of a better term, the meat and potatoes of the upcoming baseball season. So getting a little thin here, but it's NFL football. There is never not something to talk about when it comes to NFL football. And we're going to kick things off tonight. We're going to have some fun. Obviously, the news broke last week that Jaire Alexander was released and very quickly turned around and picked up by the Baltimore Ravens. And they have a very, very, very good secondary now. I'm going to pull this graphic up, obviously. Added my Malachi Starks there in the draft there. Already have Kyle Hamilton, Humphrey. Now you got Alexander, Awuzie from the Titans this past. They have a deep secondary. There should be, to one of the already, I would say, top 5 defenses in the NFL. As the title of the show goes, there is no more excuses in Baltimore. It is Super Bowl or bust, in my opinion. Marvin, let me get your thoughts on it first, and then we'll go over a few more topics on top of the Baltimore thing.
Listen, I absolutely agree. It is Super Bowl or bust. I mean, the AFC is thick. I mean, you got Mahomes and Burrow and those guys. But the reality is, when you look at the amount of talent that they have on both sides of the ball, what they've, how they've drafted, how they've invested, it's one of those situations where it's time for this guy. And I hate to say it like this because I respect him so much, but almost put up or shut up, because he's living the dream. I mean, this guy's living the dream. He's going to have a top 5 defense. Brady won 5 Super Bowls with a top 5 defense. Rodgers won one for top 5 defense, and Lamar will have a top 5 defense. That and the running back and the receivers. I mean, it's and the addition of what he just got in Jaire. I mean, it's time for him to win, and I think this is going to be the year. I believe that.
Rudy,
with the SC flag behind you, I'd probably say, yeah, maybe they have a chance. You always have a chance. Especially when you acquire guys like Jaire Alexander. Of course, he gives you a chance, but will he be available? Will his injury history become revived based on another injury that he has in training camp or otherwise? It remains to be seen. They knew what they were getting when they acquired him. And sure, Lamar Jackson, happy clam, as he should be. Former teammate, he played at Louisville. But when I interviewed Lamar Jackson in 2018 when he was drafted right out of the green room on stage in front of millions of people, one thing that I asked him strictly and straight up was, how did you feel about being drafted 32nd overall by the Baltimore Ravens and not slipping to the second round? I said, because a lot of people thought you would never be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. And he says, I don't really care what they say. He says, I'm going to do me and I'm going to do my thing. Well, he has multiple MVP awards. The guy's thrown for a whole lot. But when you think about the amount of issues between him, we've seen what happened with Mark Andrews last year, just slipping out of Andrews' hands like a hot knife through butter. Did not sit very well with the Baltimore Ravens, much less Lamar Jackson. So when you look at this team collectively with all the Pro Bowlers on there, Pro Bowlers do not make an NFL team. The only thing that makes an NFL team is if there's a collective win, collective mindset, and they have the collective people. But can they put that bed to rest of whether or not they can win the big one? I think that's going to be something that will be lingering in Lamar Jackson and the rest of the team as the 2025 season gets underway.
And you're just mentioning the Pro Bowlers. I'm going to pull up the graphic that we were talking about right before we came on air. He has the most help, the most stacked, one of the better rosters here in the NFL. Three first-team All-Pros, 2 second-team All-Pros, 8 Pro Bowlers. You can't get any deeper than that. You can't get any better than that. This has to, you can make the argument, regardless, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs being on a revenge tour, regardless of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, they're obviously the guys going to be in the mix just because they have very well teams built around them. But there's no more excuses down there in Baltimore. Drops aside, bad performances aside, not getting production out of this, not bad decision that. Like, listen, they have been right there in the thick of things for the last 3 to 4 years. It's time for them to either ascend or, they're going to be just remembered as, one of these teams that coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, I don't know what else you can really say to that, but it's one of those things where if they don't, they're probably gonna be more remembered like the 90s Bills teams that just super talented up and down, both sides of the ball that just couldn't get the ultimate prize there. Marvin, anything you want to add to this before we move on, brother?
No. I mean, you're absolutely right. Listen, I'm one of those guys when they drafted him last in the first round, I thought it was a crazy pick. I didn't see this guy transitioning the way he has in the NFL. So he's absolutely won me over in regards to his ability, how real it is, and just what his ceiling could be. But at the end of the day, you hear Shaq getting on shut. You don't want to be that guy who was the all-time great or an all-time great guy without the ring, And when you look at what they have, I mean, history will kill Lamar Jackson. History will destroy Lamar Jackson if he goes down without a ring. When you look at the amount of players that he had with him, and in a team sport, I mean, Baltimore's done a phenomenal job of developing their players and drafting correctly, and again getting the right guys for free agency. So. I'm a Jet fan, but I'm a Lamar fan for sure. I support the guy. I want to see him do well, and I mean he's at a point now where it's put up or shut up for real.
Rudy,
something can be said for that. You're absolutely right. Something can be said for that, and I think winning cures all wounds. You've heard that before, Marvin. Nothing new to you. Winning will cure all those ails. If you have a cold, winning a Lombardi and hoisting it will change everything. Cold? What cold? I don't know anything about that. The problem is that they haven't been able to get over that hump. And to your point, Steve, in regards to the Pro Bowlers, again, one person does not a Super Bowl team make, right? So it's collective units, it's collective mindset, attitude, completions, incompletions, forcing that if you're the defense with as many defensive guys that they have there extremely well. I want to see this play out on the field, but they have some pretty stiff competition, and we'll always have stiff competition, especially when you're playing the AFC North against a Cleveland team who just kind of fell off just a little bit last year. Steelers, they were in the conversation as well, but Baltimore certainly, took that to another level, winning the AFC North in the last 2 out of 5 years. So certainly a lot of monkeys on their backs that they want to get off if they can get to the big game. The question is whether or not they can. Talent, yes, but putting that together in a real-time situation, you're third and 2 to win the game, or you're 3rd and 24 and a Hail Mary is the only thing that's going to save you between being on the field and moving on with your season. or being stuck on the sideline with your big oversized hood over your helmet saying, well, we're at home, so I guess we don't have far to go when we lose.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road travel for Baltimore, regardless. That AFC is it's tough, as you were mentioning. And I think there's a lot of teams that were fringe teams or quote unquote bad teams last year that are going to be pushing you. You've already mentioned it. I think Cleveland is definitely a team to watch for, especially if Shador's staying. I know Marv is waiting to say it. He's like, well, my Jets are going to be there. I'm telling you, we got a new regime in there. We got the clown out of the house. We got the quarterback we need now. And I think both Chicago and Pittsburgh in about 2 or 3 years are going to be kicking themselves in the butt, letting Justin Fields go early and not putting a team around him and then not believing in him. I think he's got a mountain of chips on his shoulder. So I think that their team you should definitely look out for. The Raiders too, man. Like they're a young team. I know you're in that AFC West where you still have the Kansas City Chiefs. You still have the San Diego Chargers. I don't foresee that being this year's NFC North. But I mean, I think they're a team that's on the uptick. You draft Genty, you get Brock Bowers last year, and they have weapons on the offense side of the ball. They're always going to be tough on defense, but it's we have to play the games. You have to get it through. We're going to see who are the teams that are going to be surprising, right? So now on surprising things, I don't know why I have to still talk about this. This anti-Jalen Hurts rhetoric is mind-numbing to me. Mind-numbing. Like, you go through all these, like, he's hated here in Philadelphia by the Philadelphia media. You had Joe DeCamera do a top 11 athletes. He doesn't even got Jalen Hurts on the list, sitting there saying he may as well go as low down as 11 or 15 on his list of top Philadelphia athletes. We're not even talking quarterback. We're talking Philadelphia athletes, which is ridiculous. But hey, that's an argument for another day. Then I think Yahoo Sports were going through some of their writers, and they go up with these lists. And then you have like Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, which are normal guys you see in those things. But when you go from 5 down, it's like, what are we talking about? Why are these guys on this list? Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts? Are you freaking kidding me? What does this guy have to do to get off of this? Just to get the respect. You don't have to love the guy. No, I'm not sitting there saying like I didn't love the guy when we made the pick. I'm not going to sit there and act like I was. But watching what he does, watching what he's going through, going into Super Bowl twice in 5 years, being not only a Super Bowl champion now, but the MVP of the game, beating Patrick Mahomes 3 out of 4 times he's seen him in his career in Arrowhead, lost the 1 Super Bowl, but is now beating him again. What else did this guy have to do to get the love? I'm gonna start off with Rudy on this one.
I was in Arizona when the Kansas City Chiefs had taken on Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles in part 1, not part 2, part 1. And I was all on board with the Eagles. I thought to myself, man, everybody I spoke to from Brian Baldinger on through Mike Silver and all these other heavy media sports weights were all weighing in on the Philadelphia Eagles, as was I. I even seen Jaws there and had a photo opportunity with him. And great guy, great talking to him. He clearly and obviously, obligatorily was on the Eagles side. Now, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, I think that people are looking for cotton candy and maybe some Cracker Jacks to boot in order to look at the type of personality. Maybe the numbers aren't there. Maybe his completion to turnover ratio is kind of, so that is what you've seen last year in the early part of the season. The problem is with that logic is that when you look into the latter part of the season is when he really turned it on. He really turned up the heat. He was Emeril Lagasse on the field saying, turn it up a notch, would you please, and thank you. And that's exactly what he did early and often. There are rumors around him saying, you know what, he relied too much on his talent. Maybe he didn't rely enough on his talent. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how pretty your numbers are. It's about execution. And that's exactly what he did. He executed the way he wanted to, how he wanted to. Some teams handcuff you. We're talking about the former quarterback in Chicago now finding his way through Pittsburgh and now in a better type of situation where he has more of an opportunity to win in New York. Whether or not the regime will allow him to do that remains to be seen. Whether or not he'll be handcuffed again like he was with Eberflus and maybe with the offensive coordinator there in Pittsburgh, that remains to be seen. But one thing that people, of course, don't like him, and look, bottom line is you could throw snow at Santa Claus, you can throw snow at Jalen Hurts, even though he won you a title. Okay, let's just call it what it is. And it's horrible that he has to go through this in order to get some type of respect from people. You can almost pull up the Rodney Dangerfield, motion of saying, "Oh, I get no respect," and you know what? He should. You get every ounce. He brought this team a Super Bowl trophy that these people were always hoping that they would after the Philly special lost its mayo, and of course, hold the onions. I just think that when you look at this Philadelphia Eagles team and you think of where they're projected, they're going to have the top five. They're going to have one of the top five defenses in the National Football League this upcoming season. So for anybody who's going to diss Jalen Hurts and then putting a quarterback who has won absolutely nothing outside of maybe, I don't know, a salad at Subway, it's Jalen Hurts. So it's ridiculous to suggest that you're going to put a quarterback that's won nothing over a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Why? Because he's not tall, blonde, he's not sexy, he's not this, he's not that. Get over yourself. He won a title, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
All right, Marvin, what are your thoughts, brother?
With Jalen Hurts, I think Rudy hit it on the head. I agree with him, much what he said. But again, I'll agree. I mean, I'll admit Jalen had to win me over. I wasn't, I didn't love him in Alabama. I was happy he had some success with Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, and got picked in the second round. And then from there, he's had success in numbers, but he's a guy that after he finally won a Super Bowl, I said, okay, I guess he's a good quarterback. I think he gets knocked for silly things such as maybe he's not a great media guy, personality. That impacts people. These are human beings who are judging. And even with the tush push, you got some people who don't really respect that. And when you look at how significant that is in their offense and what it's done for them, I don't know. I don't know if these things are silly, but I wonder if the style of play turns people off. People don't love the 1 yard touchdown run as much, or I don't know. But at the end of the day, he has the numbers. He's winning. I think second most wins in the last few years next to Mahomes. So he's putting up the numbers, but he's also a guy who plays with a great defense, top five defense. That matters. And maybe that takes from him, especially when style of play is kind of an issue and he's not doing it like Burrow or he's not doing it like Tua. I think for him, he's going to need to keep winning. Unfortunately, I don't think he's the media darling. And I do think that they're doing it on fourth down for the most part, I believe, but maybe not. But that tush push, and when you look at how it impacts their offense and their game, I think people look at that as, that's not really, what they want to see, I don't know. But at the end of the day, he's winning games, and numbers are the only things that tell the truth. And his numbers are astonishing. And the fact that he just won the Super Bowl, in a game where the quarterback is everything, you look at the totality of all things he's done right, you got to give him something, you got to put him on some kind of list, I think. So it's tough, man. But at the end of the day, if you win, they'll like you. You win a lot, they'll love you. So,
well,
I think the funny thing about those lists that I see, right?
So when you look at guys like, I'll give you a great example of that. You look at Tom Brady and his profile at the combine. Absolutely horrible. The guy couldn't run and beat a snail in a 40. But he eventually became what? The GOAT. Same thing you can have for Terry Bradshaw, who had an absolutely horrible combine. His numbers were pathetic. He could not get the ball out from his hands if you put butter on them. I mean, there was no way to think that these guys would end up winning respective Super Bowls, not just one, not just two, three, but four for Terry Bradshaw. So it's not about how flattering somebody looks. It's not about how tall they are. It doesn't matter if they have a goatee or an earring, or if they, participate in more friendly events that are going on within the city. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It makes no difference whatsoever. Just because it's sexy doesn't mean it isn't in. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to win, right? So if you're in, you win. If you win, you're in. So I think when you look at Jalen Hurts and his ability to do it in the way that he does it, you just have to admonish that. So you know what? He did it his way. But to your point about the tush push, I wasn't a fan of it. I thought they could have easily dismantled that and call it maybe an overloaded line, but there isn't, right? Because you look at the tackles and they're not loading on the left-hand side. These guys are just a mass of humanity moving in one collective unit to gain another yard. If they say if you can't stop it, well, then maybe you need to find another way to do so. But the Eagles continue to do exactly what's still not illegal, and that's the tush push, and they'll keep on moving and pushing that tush in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
they will.
I think they're going to continue to use it. I love these guys that sit there like he's just a tush push merchant. I'm like, you realize like he only like half of his running touchdowns has been through that play. The rest of them has been 10, 15, 20. Everyone forgets about his touchdown run in the divisional championship game against the Rams. That was like a 45-yarder, and that was blown out by, as we were just talking about, those offensive linemen blew the Rams off the ball, and there goes Jalen Hurts up for a touchdown. And then later in the game, obviously everyone remembers the Saquon Barkley touchdown, and there's another one like. Can you imagine what Saquon's Barkley year would have looked at if the 11 times he got tackled on the 1 yard line, he actually went in? He was tackled on the 1 yard line 11 times. He'd have been the league MVP and wouldn't have even been a question in our mind. But that's going back to something that me and Ben are talking about. You don't want to win the NFL award. You want to win the game the next day. And a lot of time those guys who are in those that award ceremony aren't playing the next game. And you even hear it even more from Jalen Carter. They were talking about him. He's like, everyone's waiting for his contract, which we'll probably see at the end of this season. And he has no concern about his contract, about money. He wants to go chase more rings.
Absolutely, and he should.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. We've already talked about it. I think it's so funny how we try to use him having this good team as why we can't give him respect. Well, I remember everyone telling me how great Troy Aikman was when we all knew he wasn't this great pocket quarterback. He wasn't this this guy that made amazing plays like Joe Montana did and guys in his era. But he had Michael Irvin, he had Alvin Harper, he had Emmitt Smith, he had Nate Newton in front. Like he had a great team around him. Line. Do we tear Troy Aikman down for that? No. But for some reason it's used against Jalen Hurts. Oh, well, he has a top 5 defense. Did he have a top 5 defense in 2023 or 2022? No. In 2022 when they went to the Super Bowl, I think they were 10th or just outside of 10th. They didn't have a top defense then, but all of a sudden when he does win it now, we're having this argument, we're tearing him down, and I don't know, I don't think he'll ever be the media darling, and I think he's perfectly fine with that. But I'm just talking about the simple respect, and we're gonna get into this next one because obviously, as I told you guys, we're gonna do our own lists because some of this stuff was fun. When I was looking at that one list, go ahead, brother.
I was going to say, listen, as a former run-blocking NFL fullback, I appreciate the physicality of the tush push. I really do. I love it, and I'm looking for a defense to step up and actually stop it. That's going to be great football, I just think at the end of the day, I think there are people who look at it and say, we want a quarterback to throw it. We want a quarterback to run it outside. They want it to look prettier, and I think that hurts it as silly as it is.
I think Jalen's numbers are better in the pocket. He's a better passer in the pocket. I thought he was the right quarterback though.
Yeah. Listen, if this is the 1960s, he would have been the man. He would have been the guy,
Yeah.
right?
Think
Or in the
about
40s.
it like this. How many unscripted plays does a quarterback have within the arsenal of play calling by the offensive coordinator? At least a handful. Let's just say a handful of unscripted plays where if something breaks down or busts, you have option 2 or you have option 3. Play action's great for that. Don't get me wrong. And with the amount of talent that the Eagles have on that offensive line, you really don't need a footprint, man. Come on. Really?
I think that's where he's when we were saying, what does he do that's elite? What you're just mentioning right there, Rudy, is what he does. He goes to the line and is like, you know what? They're in this defense. And he'll call an audible. And 9 times out of 10, it's not a pass play. He'll go out of the pass and go to a run, and there goes Saquon Barkley running for 70 yards. Yeah. That's where I think he sees the game in a way, and he knows what he's looking at to the point where he goes to the line, he calls an audible, and all of a sudden they break off a big gain for a touchdown. That's where I think he really like. You want to talk about what he's elite at? I think that's what it is. He really is.
This guy, I think he has the intangibles. You forget he's a coach's son. Who then went to Nick Saban. I think the guy's built different as a man, as a leader, as a quarterback, and I think that difference is seen by guys. Guys respect that. They see it. I think, listen, within that organization, he's loved, he's respected. No doubt about it. But style of play is everything, and there's something about the way he's doing it that's not respected amongst those, who judge and put lists together. I think that and the fact that he has so much around him. But you're right. They consider Aikman to be, something special. He's in the Hall of Fame, We'll see. I don't know.
Well, we also know that Jerry Jones himself is also in the Hall of Fame. And another coach that belongs in the Hall of Fame that he decided to fire went over to Miami and won something. He also fired. Yeah. So no quarterback since Troy Aikman has won, anything. And that includes Dak Prescott. That includes Tony Romo. That includes any other quarterback that they've had on their roster. So who really belongs in the Hall of Fame? It's not Jerry Jones. But anyway, that's a story for another time.
I'll argue with that one. Listen, I disdain the Cowboys to a whole nother level, but you cannot discredit what he has done for the game and what the part he did play on helping build that team. Granted, Jimmy Johnson built that team through the draft. He the triplets, all that stuff was built on Jimmy's clock. But I think the other thing that why Jerry's in the Hall of Fame is because of the stuff he does outside of being an NFL owner, on how he has he has shown you what building a brand is, and I think he's the other part where I think where Rudy's right is we don't discredit him for destroying his dynasty, running out a world-class Hall of Fame head coach. And the fact that he's done nothing over the last 30 years, and they still have this guy. We're still hearing it again. They're telling us again that the Cowboys is coming out of Cowboys media that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I can't. The jokes write themselves at this point in time, but you can't take away what he's done. It's like the Al Davis effect, right?
Sure, it absolutely is.
Now, obviously, Jerry isn't Al Davis. He's not going to have as big of an influence as Al Davis. But I think his thing isn't in media, in TV contracts, and brand marketing, things of that nature, is why he's in the Hall of Fame. So I will not take that away from him. But what I will say, he is not a Hall of Fame GM. Never was, never will be. People who talk about him need to get that. Micah Parsons this offseason said that Jerry Jones is the best GM in football today, which is mind-boggling to me.
Because Micah Parsons is going to get paid, that's why. And he knows it.
You got that right, brother.
No, without Jerry Jones, he's got nothing. I remember when I covered the Cowboys just a couple of years ago out in Oxnard, California, and I was standing next to Micah Parsons. I said, Micah, I said, man, how much does that gold chain weigh? He was holding it in his hand because it broke while he was on the field, playing. And he says, man, this thing weighs more than my current contract. Okay. Next, can we move on with that? No, Jerry Jones can't get out of his own way infinitively. And I say that because, yeah, as great of an owner as he is, what he's done for the game from an ownership standpoint, the decision he's made, the brand building, buying the team for next to pennies on the dollar to one of the most expensive franchises in NFL history, certainly says to the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame. Now, from a general manager perspective, that's in the toilet because we know that even as a general manager, you need to make the right decisions. He makes the right decisions, but the right decisions are with the wrong component of his body, and that's his heart, not his eyes, not the numbers, not production. You know, what did that guy do in college? What did he do at the combine? You know, if everybody reporting to him, do they call him GM owner GM? I don't know which one comes first, the chicken or the egg. So the Cowboys are always going to give you the rhetoric of, yes, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year, because it needs to be their mentality, have not won one for over 30 years. So you have to stand by that if you're an owner to get everybody else to buy into it. It's about the buy-in process. Marvin can speak to that better than anybody. It's about buying in. If you're not buying in, then you're gonna be bought out. You're gonna be traded off to another team that could probably use you more or you need them more than they need you.
I'm not going to beat on that drum anymore. I make fun of the Cowboys on a regular basis, and it's just.
But Steven, I'll tell you one thing you had said. How come we don't discredit him for destroying his franchise? Because he won. And once you win, that's it. And he won it 3 times.
All right. When you look at the landscape during that time, Marvin, they could have won 5 or 6 Super Bowls with that team. They really could have, because the NFC was weak, and it really boiled down to, like, they really had guys, not just on the offense, but on the defensive side of things too. And
yeah.
They did pull the right triggers and draft the right guys, and then bring in the right free agents to keep themselves competitive. But then by that time, they brought in Barry Switzer, who was a yes man, and you don't have anyone to tell Jerry no. And then that's when he lost it. Good, Rudy.
They all are. They all are. Every single one of those guys that he has hired is the yes man, and will always be a yes man.
Yeah. Listen, his
exception.
Yeah.
You want a job, you're going to kiss Jerry's butt. That's all there is to it.
Listen, and I think that's why you didn't hear anything about Dion or anything like that, because he ain't going to kiss the ring.
Yeah.
He's not.
Dion has his own ring. Why are you going to kiss somebody else's? But hey, whatever.
He's got his own brand, and you can't compete with the star. And someone like Dion does
get
more
his
than
son to compete with not putting his foot pedal to the ground and getting a ticket. Not 1, but 2. Sorry, my bad. I know I'm jumping ahead.
We'll get to that at the end, Rudy. But I want to get into the next segment here. We're going to do, our top 10 quarterbacks, top 5 running back, top 5 wide receivers, and our top 5 defenses of the league. I think it's fair that we can all do a consensus. Number 1 quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, correct?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Production.
So I guess we'll all 3 thumbs up and knock one off the board, right?
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
I'll start with Rudy. Rudy, who you got at 2 then?
I'm Josh Allen, and it has nothing to do with the multi-year contract, nothing to do with the extension. It's got everything to do with what he means, not only to the city of Buffalo, but to the guys that he plays with on that line. They are buying in. He has done absolutely everything remotely possible, changing his style of play, evolving to the next level of quarterback. The quarterback play needs to be that much better. This year, he was first head runner in Wyoming. I missed him by a year. And I covered Cheyenne, the Laramie sports with the Wyoming Cowboys. So I missed him by 1 year. Otherwise, I've been able to interview him prior to getting drafted. But it means a whole lot to this Bills team, the organization overall, and what he means. So I think that number 2 is fitting.
Marvin, you sticking with Josh Allen too?
Yeah. Josh is absolutely the number 2 guy after Pat, no doubt about it. For all the reasons you just heard.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one too. I mean, if
Yeah.
you think about it, I think he's like 6 touchdowns away from Cam Newton's record, something something to that effect. You know, as much as we talk about Jalen, you know, Josh Allen and Lamar, but Josh Allen has been a workhorse for the Buffalo Bills. He's been the saving grace up there in Buffalo. I do believe he will actually be the quarterback to give the Buffalo Bills their Super Bowl they've been longing for and looking for. I don't know if it's going to be any time within the next handful of years because I think the Eagles are pretty lethal. I do think that we go back. I don't know if we win it. It all depends on who we wind up playing. But yeah, I think that Josh Allen is the absolute heart of that Buffalo Bills team, that the city, the whole nine right now. He's bleeding blue and red in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, man. He's a 6 foot, 6'5" guy, 240, and he plays like it. He gives you that. You know what I mean? This isn't Tarzan in a Jane situation. You know, he can slang it. I mean, he can throw the ball at any angle. Very similar to Mahomes, even though Mahomes is much better at it. But he's a dog player. He has a dog mentality, and he fits the bill, man. He's the hype. I believe him. He is the hype. And again, that AFC is tough, and he has to go through, the guy who I have next on the list. But with that said, back to you, Steve.
My
That's a good point. One thing about Josh Allen is that he's going to take the hits that Patrick Mahomes will not.
Yeah.
He's going to run for those yards with contact.
Will not. Can't take them hits. Josh is he's a freak, man. He's a freak of an athlete. And you can't take that away from him. He's tough. He's gritty. He that's why I said he's the beating heart of Buffalo, because that's what that fan base is. That's what that city is. It's blue collar. Listen, you can take away a lot of things from Josh, but that's not one of those things you can't. Patrick Mahomes can't take those hits, and that's why he won't, because he's like, listen, I'm the one that's keeping this team, relevant, doing this, doing that, and that's why they protect Pat the way they do. But my 3 is we were already speaking on him. It's Lamar Jackson. He's the two-time MVP for a reason. Outside of falling short in the playoffs, which if Lamar Jackson doesn't get it done this year, I think this would disclude him from any top 5 quarterback conversation. But that being said, we're still in the present. He still has a top 5 defense, arguably a top 5 offense. You just added Hopkins to the mix, and you got Flowers on the other side. You have a 2-headed monster at tight end with Likely and Anders there, and then not to mention you have a 2-headed monster running the ball with Lamar himself, and then you got Derrick Henry behind him. So I mean, he has a lot of weapons around him. We don't discount Lamar from these conversations. But he has the body of work. He's the 2-time MVP. He is absolutely electric running the ball. Lack for a better term, he's Michael Vick 2.0 with a better arm.
Exactly.
And that's even hard to say because Mike Vick had a freaking cannon. But Lamar's my number 3. But let's see where Rudy starts with this.
I would have said Joe Burrow, but I can't do it, because of the amount of success that Lamar Jackson has had with the rest of his team, with the wide receivers, with being able to get the ball in very squeaky tight places that you can only imagine a ball could actually fit. And one thing about Lamar Jackson, extreme competitor, very humble guy. He respects everybody and everything. He's a God-fearing man as well. All he wants to do is win. And whether or not this team can get past not only the NFC North or the AFC North, but the rest of the AFC as well to get into the Super Bowl remains to be seen. But one thing about Lamar Jackson is questionably not only has a better vision than a Michael Vick, than probably any other player. Cordell Stewart is what he kind of reminds me of, and moves similar to what Cordell did when he was in college and what he did for the Steelers when his time was there. So yeah, Lamar definitely a number 3 for me. I couldn't think of him outside of that spot at all. I think it's a perfect fit for him.
Marvin. He's giving a thumbs up, so he's like, "Listen, you guys got that one."
Yeah, no, listen. Again, this guy's phenomenal. He is, and Steve, you said he is Michael Vick 2.0. I've been saying that for a while. I believe that he's just a much better version of Vick. He's what Vick could have been, right? This is what we feared. This is what we thought what Vick was going to end up being before it went the other way. But Lamar's the man. I mean, he's talented in ways that we haven't seen, and without question, he is the third best quarterback in this league.
Now we get to 4, and I think this is
okay.
where you can have where we're going to start to possibly see some differences, but I want to put my guy here, but I'm not. I'm gonna go where I think it is, and Joe Burrow does get my number 4 spot. He does have the most one of the best wide receiver core that you could possibly have outside of Philadelphia, and T. Higgins and Mr. Jamar Chase. Joe's been a little bit more banged up than he probably would like to. I hope Cincinnati does something to get him help on that offensive line. But looking from what we've been seeing out of him over the last few years, they're more Jewish than I am, and they're keeping every cent, every penny they can. And Joe's going to have to make the best of what he has on the line up front of him. But that does not take away his talent. He took the Cincinnati Bengals to their first Super Bowl since the Boomer Esiason era, and I think he probably, when everything is said and done, will probably be the best quarterback in the Cincinnati Bengals history. So we can make the argument for other things, but he's definitely the number 4 quarterback in the NFL right now. Let's start with Marvin on this one.
Yeah, I agree for everything that you said as well. Joe's the man. He really is. Last year didn't go their way. They finished, they finished hot to a degree, but I haven't forgotten what he did earlier in his career. In my mind, he's kind of established himself as I'm that guy. I'm in that conversation, and I believe he is. And if anything, the Bengals have showed that they believe, and he gets nothing but support from his receivers. He's that 4th guy without question. And I think they're one of those teams that because they have a guy like him, they're always going to be in it. They're always going to have a chance. They're going to always be able to compete because they have that guy. And he's one of those. He's one of the last of the elite or super elite of the league. That's it, Rudy, for him.
He's up there. I don't want to put him at number 4. I mean, but the problem is that if there was anyone I would probably put in place of him would be Jaden Daniels based on his performance last season with the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
And
we'll get into that.
The only reason why I'm not going to Jaden Daniels and I'm going to stay with Joe Burrow is because the guy does more with less. You talked about, Steve, how he's not getting the kind of protection that he wants on the line. He's not getting the help from his offensive line. Then you have Trey Hendrickson, who's still on a holdout with the Bengals. They just signed, or at least in some limbo type of universe, they haven't signed their first-round pick either. So there's a lot of disarray going on there in Cincinnati, and they haven't solidified anything based on what I've seen in the last draft, which is the most recent draft, of being able to get Joe Burrow the kind of help that he needs. He's a pocket passer kind of guy. He's not going to give you any surprises on the run. And outside of the pocket, he may scamper for 5, maybe 7 yards, but that's about it. You're not going to see him, scramble like Patrick Mahomes or aforementioned Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I don't even think that he will. Again, it's a close tie between him and Jaden Daniels, which is another time. However, Joe Burrow does more with less. He's what this franchise needs. Without him, they have basically nothing but running through quarterbacks like the Cleveland Browns do. And we know how many starting quarterbacks they've had historically, which is probably more fingers and toes than I have on my body, and probably your guys included. But At the end of the day, I think Joe Burrow's a guy who belongs there. He is what the Bengals need, but what he needs is protection. And I just don't believe they have enough. But whether or not he believes he has enough, well, I'll let him make that decision. But he is my number 4.
And as we're moving along, my number 5, it shouldn't be a surprise. I'm going with Jalen Hurts here. You can thumb me down all you want, guys. Listen, he's a top 5 quarterback. He's all the guys we've mentioned outside of Patrick Mahomes hasn't beaten Jalen. We talk. What matters the most is winning, right? None of those guys have beaten him outside of Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, right? Went to Baltimore, knocked off Mr. Lamar Jackson. Went to Cincinnati last year. Did have a little bit of a shootout with Cincinnati, but threw 2 absolute dimes to Devontae Smith to secure that game. He does not get enough credit. I will give him his flowers. I don't care if anyone else on the panel wants to or not today, but he's not my number 5. Listen.
Better make sure they're alive and not dead flowers.
What's that?
Better make sure they're live flowers and not dead ones.
We'll see. We'll see how funny that comment is when they go back to back this year, brother.
That remains to be seen. It's a long season.
It is a long season.
Anything could happen.
We'll see if they are able to repeat the success they did last year. They didn't really lose anyone of note. They still have the best offensive line in football. They still have the best wide receiver core in football. And for lack of, we'll get to it in a few minutes too. He's got the best running back in football. So I'm gonna leave it there. He's 5. You guys can go take your picks. Let's start with Marvin.
5. I got to go Jaden Daniels at 5. Yeah, this guy is not a fluke. For me, it goes back to listening to Keyshawn, my former teammate, talk about Jaden Daniels as a youth and what he was and what he was going to be, and then you see him have success at Arizona State. You see him go to LSU, different system, Brian Kelly, and you see what he does there. Wins the Heisman, and then you see him, come out as a rookie and just continue to have. It's him. He's the secret sauce. You know what I mean? He has that it factor. He gets it done. And what you saw last year is what he has done every year in football for the last 6-7 years. This is just who he is. Without question, he is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL right now. And I believe that organization is going to do everything they can to build around him as they should, because they realize at this point they have a guy. So, and he's number 5 on my list. Rudy.
If we're going to give a him award, it's not going to be Jalen Hurts. It's going to be Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, a guy from my hometown of San Bernardino, California. Yes, they are officially on the map the minute that he was drafted by the Washington Commanders. He is him. He gets the him award. He gets my him award because without him as a part of that secret sauce, you got nothing but a burger. Plain, old-fashioned, burnt, ran over, picked up from the floor, kind of burger. And nobody wants that one. That's the only reason why Jaden Daniels is on the board for me at number 5, because of what he's done throughout the entire season. Anybody remember that Hail Mary tip pass by the defender that went into another wide receiver's hands in the end zone? I have yet to see Jalen Hurts pull something like that off, not to suggest that they don't have a running back who does magical things with his legs spread open like what? An eagle, jumping over defenders, great, wonderful. But a Hail Mary? Really? Okay. So that's the only reason why Jaden Daniels is my number 5 QB, outside of the fact that he's from my hometown, because I've seen him do it in very different systems. You just mentioned it, Marvin. He was at ASU, did it a little bit different there, went to LSU. We're talking about a whole 180 for him, learning a different playbook, a different system, wide receiver formats, play action. What does that look like? He had to go through all the hoops in order to get drafted. And when he did, he's been doing nothing but things stellar on the field since he entered the league.
I can't believe the both of y'all giving this guy in the 5 slot for one season with Let's not also mention that he played with the easiest strength of schedule in the entire league. And we're going to give him flowers for throwing Hail Marys on games they should have won? Really? Guys, listen, he's on my list. I'm not going to say he's not on my list. I'm not going to say that he did not have the absolute best season as a rookie quarterback that we've ever seen. Made Peyton Manning look like a joke compared to his first season. I get it. Super talented. He deserves to be on my list. He's on my list, and guess what? He's not my next pick either. I can't believe it. I love y'all guys. I love your takes. I also want to know, why are y'all putting him on the list because of what he did before he got here? We're talking about an NFL list, right?
Well, no, but we have to be. But you're just saying, when you evaluate a player, you look at their history, and what's consistent about him is that he wins. He plays at a high level everywhere he goes. The team around him is better because of him. Like Rudy said, he's him, and he is the secret sauce in the situation. Take that away from him. And he's talented. He's young, and he has dominating performances. I mean, this guy steps up in the clutch, in a way that you don't see a guy that young. His maturity, he has the intangibles. Mental toughness is built differently, and a guy like that is only going to get better. I got him at 5. And Steve, don't worry. I got your guy next. Okay? I got your guy next.
All right, well.
I'm just saying.
Well, and listen, I know Jade. Listen, I'm not going to take anything away from Jaden Daniels. He's done it 1 year. We don't even know. We're not even to year 2 when we're talking about he's a top 5 in the league. Guys, come on.
Top 5 based on performance.
But I'll give him his flowers in about 2 or 3 minutes when I eventually put him on my list, because he's not 6 on my list. I'm giving that to Matthew freaking Stafford. Who's actually won a Super Bowl, who actually sat there and made an absolutely terrible Lions team and survived it. He almost retired just like Calvin Johnson did, because he was sick of losing. And he begged and crawled and fighted and got out of there and went to the Rams and did what his first year there. They won a Super Bowl. He is one of 3 guys on this list that's actually won one. Matthew Stafford, obviously, back end of his career, he's not going to be on the top on anyone's list. He's 6 in my books. He was a Jalen Carter sack away from knocking us out of the playoff last year. You cannot take anything away from Matthew Stafford. They literally put a no-look pass in the new Madden game because he's done it so well. He manipulates defenses so well with his body movements and things of that nature. He's 6 on my list. I know he's banged up. I know he's not always super consistent, but he's a winner. He's a proven winner. 6 on your list. Started off, Marvin.
6 on my list, I have Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. The reality for me is this: it's hard even though I'm looking at these guys individually and not what's around them. I'm looking at them for who they are. And can I take this quarterback? If he was on this team, would he have success? Or on this team, I think Jalen Hurts is a perfect fit in Philly. To be honest with you, with that said, the numbers don't lie. This guy wins, and at the end of the day, the quarterback is the most important person on the field, and he wins. He won in Oklahoma. Again, to me, what you did before matters as well. History matters. He's a winner. He really is. He has a ring and a lot of wins, guys. He deserves to be number 6 on my list.
Rudy. You're on mute, brother. You're on mute, Rudy.
Rudy, you're on mute.
This is not a one-person game. Jalen Hurts is my number 6. There's no question about it. And I think what's not being looked at here is the style of which he's winning. We're talking about style points earlier and why the media doesn't like him. It's because of how he wins. It's how he plays. And I think a lot of the misconfusion and the misconstrued thought processes surrounding Jalen Hurts as an individual, as a football player, kind of run into the same. I guarantee you, the same guy you see on the field is not the same guy you see in the at his home or surrounding a fire in his backyard, right? So as far as what he's done and how he wins, the way he does it is not sexy and not appealing, and that's why nobody likes that. That's why he's getting all this backlash from it. However, when you look at him as an individual, that's why he's on my number 6, because he's below where Jaden Daniels is. Now, I don't know where Jalen Hurts grew up. Maybe part of that was in college, but I know where Jaden Daniels grew up at. And where he grew up at was a very horrible and terrible environment of people surrounding him, the environment surrounding him. He did not become a product of his environment. He didn't go to this Alabama, led Nick Saban coached football team. Jaden Daniels came from the nitty gritty. Like, he had to dig and thrive and dig to China just to get out of San Bernardino. Okay. That's the only reason why the one is above the other. But you can't take anything away from Jalen Hurts and what he's done consistently. That's the only reason why he's number 6 and not 5.
All right. Well, 7 is where I will put Jaden Daniels. An absolute stud of a player. It's year 1. He very well could be a top 5, a top 3 quarterback. It all depends on what he's going to do this year. He's only, they do have another favorable schedule, but we'll get into what the Commanders can do, after we get through our top list here. But, as Rudy and Marvin are, he's him. He is him. I'm not going to sit there and act like, we don't have two of the top best quarterbacks in the NFC East with Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. There's no one else to really mention, and in the NFC for that matter, because there's only a handful of guys that you can really put up there against them. So he has, and we're even more see it as they've given him another weapon with Deebo Samuel this year. So we will see if he can move up the ladder for me. I think it's very well easily for him to potentially show me the body of work, pass a Stafford, pass the likes of a Joe Burrow and be in that top 4, top 3 conversations. He has the skill sets to do it. He has a team around him that could do it. So, and you know what?
He's going to give the Eagles a run for their money, just like.
Well, no, listen, I don't act like that. Like, it's not going to be a hard thing. You even I think Nolan Smith was just on, the morning football talk show on NFL Network, and that was the team he made, the team that he feels that could potentially knock the Eagles off this year. What was the Washington Commanders? So, listen, I know the Commanders are in a better position to challenge us for something than the Dallas Cowboys are. They've hopped right over Dallas like it was
nothing. They don't have a quarterback.
That was nothing. And 9 times out of 10, you find the quarterback, everything else kind of falls together. He's 7 on my list. He's going to be a problem for a while. It's going to be very interesting to see how things play out over the next few years. If the Eagles are able to go on a run, it's going to be to factor in if they can beat the Washington Commanders and contain Jaden Daniels. 7 on your list. Let's start it off, Rudy.
Number 7, you just mentioned him. He's a guy who's already won it, been there, done that, and that is Matthew Stafford, who has done a lot more with less, just like we've seen in Cincinnati. They both had their struggles offensively, not able to protect him. But one thing that this Bengals team needs is Trey Hendrickson. If they don't get him, then somebody else will, and I hope it's Pittsburgh. But anyway, that's another story for another show. When you look at where the Rams were during the beginning of the season, they were looking pretty good. Then they hit a big slump, and that nearly knocked them out of any type of playoff contention or conversation for that matter on a regular basis. But because he's done more with the less amount of weapons that he has had and the inconsistency and the drops we've seen during the Rams season last year, he just took the team on his back and did absolutely everything he could have done in order to get to the next level, and that is postseason play. They kind of got there, but kind of did not. So it's a matter of whether or not Matthew Stafford can revitalize this. It's not like they're 15 years removed from playing in the Super Bowl. They're only like 3 years from removed from playing the Super Bowl. And I was in LA for that Super Bowl, so I remember very well what happened in that game. But when you look at Matthew Stafford, he means so much to this franchise, to this organization. You can talk to ownership, you can talk to players. And to your point, Steve, we were talking about how he outlasted his time in Detroit. He could have easily said, you know what, I'm done. This ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen with this team. Same with Barry Sanders. You know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't come here to lose every single year in and year out, regardless of the empty promises that are made and told and stated. Matthew Stafford, definitely number 7 for me, no doubt.
I guess Marvin with a thumbs up.
You
agree with
yeah, man. Stafford is he's dangerous, as we saw last year at the end. I mean, he can still play at a high level, get it done. I feel like those guys in LA are just getting better, and he's the real deal with a ring, and he still has it. So easily my number 7 guy. And I will admit this, that even when I was going over my list earlier, I don't know how I excluded him from the entire list, but when you said his name earlier, I said, how did I forget about Matthew Stafford? But I'm being honest with you. How did I overlook that when but look, based on my list, he absolutely will be my number 7 guy. So I just wanted to be upfront about that because I'm that kind of guy. There you go.
We appreciate the honesty.
That's why I love Marvin, man. He keeps it 100% real, and that's what we like on this network. We're gonna move right on to 8. My 8 is CJ Stroud. The only reason he's not higher on this list is he felt that sophomore slump hard last year. He's one of the young guns that we have in this league. He has a team around him that could potentially vie for a championship. They now have a nasty running back room as they just signed that was it Chubb's from down in Cleveland. So I mean, I think he's got a nice set of weapons around him. They just traded for the swagger there on defense. They got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's going to be a wrecking ball for that defense, and you're now mixing him in there with that head coach and the way he runs football. Oh man, he's gonna have fun down there in Houston. They will be a force in this year's playoff. How far they make it is really up to how the head-to-head matchup goes with some of these other top quarterbacks that we've already mentioned there in the AFC. If they could beat a Joe Burrow, if they could beat a Patrick Mahomes, if they could beat a Lamar Jackson, a Josh Allen. That AFC is very, very tough, especially at that quarterback position. But CJ Stroud deserves mention on this list. He's like, again, if he didn't fall victim to the sophomore slump last year, he probably would be much higher as where Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts are higher. But let's give Marvin on this one. Where's your 8? Who are you feeling with?
Yeah, listen, I like CJ. He's an LA guy, but he didn't make my top 10, to be honest with you. And I thought about it hard. Listen, it is what it is. My guy at number 8, Kyler Murray. All right, Kyler Murray. Super talented.
What?
Yeah. Listen to me. Listen to me. I know. It's okay. Kyler Murray.
Come on, you got to show me, man.
I do. No, this is straight eyeball test for me. Okay. Just watching this guy and seeing what he's able to do, seeing the plays that he's made. I believe for me, he is the 8th best quarterback in this league. I do. Okay, I mean, let's listen. It's okay.
Happening. He's not on my list for many reasons.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is that Jared Goff gets my number 8 nod because of what he has done consistently in Detroit. The guy was basically kicked out of Los Angeles to play with the Rams. If anybody recalls that massive trade in Matthew Stafford over aforementioned number 7, and he's done nothing but win. Consistently win. What has Kyler Murray won? Anything other than a new revitalized contract? What?
Again, I'm looking at individual quarterbacks.
He's on like a top 20 for me but not on a top 10. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? If there was
No.
a Mount
But
Rushmore of a $10 bill,
here's that
his
argument.
name
If
would
you
not
put
be on it.
Kyler Murray in San Francisco, is he not a top 10 quarterback? That they are putrid down there in Arizona. He's dealing with the fact that you have him. You can shake your head all you want. I
That's
mean,
how I look at
think
it, Steve.
He's doing the best he can with absolutely nothing, and he's been injured a lot over the last few years. Go ahead.
That's where Jared Goff
that's why
has
I'm
not
looking
fallen
at the
into.
individual. Yeah.
All right.
Listen,
Jared
Kyler
Goff
Murray.
has not fallen into that trap. You don't hear him whining and complaining that's other people's fault, that they're not winning. There are balls that he wished he could have back. He's done more with less. They know how to invest in a roster. Their owner just passed away. And what did they do? Go into an NFC championship game. Are you freaking kidding me? When was the last time Arizona was in an NFC championship game? Well, hold on, wait. They lost against the Steelers in Super Bowl 43. Oh, wait.
On the last play of the game.
And it wasn't Kyler Murray under center either.
No, it wasn't. It was Kurt
He
Warner.
was still in college.
Yeah,
This team and organization has failed epically to get the right pieces. No, so they did good in this year's draft. Kudos to them. But Kyler Murray with unscripted plays moving forward in 2025? Are you kidding me?
Again.
No way.
Like Steve said, imagine a Kyler Murray playing with Shanahan. You know, I mean, looking at the individual, I would much rather have Kyler Murray than Jared Goff.
Scamachan?
Jared Goff might not be in my top 15. I'm just telling you, it's just you see something.
Give me Father Shanahan. Give me him. I'll take him over the other Shanahan any day of the week, and twice on Super Bowl Sunday. Okay, other than his son.
Me too. But I like Shanahan.
Okay, so and I met him in person. Great guy, by the way. But when you look at the body of work from Jared Goff being kicked and ostracized while he was in Los Angeles, to go over to a dome team, yes, I said dome team, he does nothing but win. And that's what's leading this Lions franchise. And that's why they were an NFC championship game. Without Jared Goff, who do they have? A backup quarterback to start and take them to an NFC championship game? Forget about it. He's kind of like
Jalen Hurts.
I'm not a golf guy, so as much as you dislike that, I just like golf. It's not being golf.
This is not about golf. This is about his play. We're talking about top 5 QBs. Is he very likable?
Sure. Elite receivers, elite defense.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Running back. I mean,
because
he got booted from LA. If he was so great, why did
listen? I'll say this: Jared Goff is not in my top 10. Nicely, he is not. He doesn't deserve.
Nicely gave him the boot. He did. Like he did.
I mean, he took it like a professional. I'll give him that much, but he has a way better team there now, and
he's Bradshaw.
It's like putting Dak Prescott into the number 5 spot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on. My nine is that guy down there in LA. His name is Justin Herbert. He needs to do better in the playoffs, but in the regular season, that guy is crazy. He's crazy talented. He's got the other Hallbar brother down there who fled sanctioning in Michigan, doing what he wanted to do to help them win a championship. We're gonna see how they do this year. They got Mekhi Becton out of Philadelphia. They got a decent running back set back there. Don't be surprised if Keenan Allen resigns with them in the next few weeks. I'm calling that. I've been calling it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I agree. Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
And listen, obviously he has his shortcomings. Obviously, there's a lot of people. I seen them when they're doing their list. They have him, anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7. He's almost not on this list just because of how poorly he plays in the playoffs. You have to entertain that. You have to give him his due. He's been electric in the regular season for whatever reason. When it gets to January, he turns into Cinderella. He's got to run home for the ball, and he loses his slippers, and he's just if he does another one, we were talking about Lamar needing to do. I think the pressure's more on Justin Herbert to be successful this season than it is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson will lose that aura about him, but he'll still be in the top 5 of everyone's conversation. But Justin Herbert absolutely has to win. Get the monkey off his back, so to speak, or he's not going to be on anybody's list. But
the only list
he's
he's
my
going to be on
9.
is a free agent list. That's the only list he's going to end up being on if he doesn't win anything this upcoming season. Bottom
he's
line.
my 9. I'm going to move it on to Rudy. Who's your
9? 9. He's my guy.
9. What do you got, Marvin? You have him at 9?
So I had Justin actually at 10, but then I forgot about Stafford. So now Herbert's out. He's not even in my top 10. He's in my top 11. At 9, I have Baker Mayfield.
Ooh.
Baker Mayfield. Yeah, listen. Baker Mayfield, he showed me a lot last year. He showed me a lot.
He's shown us a lot over the last few years. His rebirth since leaving Cleveland
he's the real deal.
Has to be taken notice.
Once you leave Cleveland, you have a chance.
Baker had to mature. He had to get with the right coach, the right leadership. Obviously, he had some talent down in Tampa, and you saw him slanging it. And, when the game was on the line, I mean, Baker was showing up. Baker is absolutely the number 9 quarterback in the NFL.
Rudy 9.
It pains me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm going to have to agree there, only because I like his grittiness, the way that he plays, his mentality when he touches the football field, the minute he has a ball in his hands, his ability to get that ball out of his hands in a timely manner. He has the protection. He gets it to every and anybody. That's what he's done. That's what he continues to do. He's going to be that much better this season than he was last season. Yeah, he got Mike Evans, his 1,000 reception, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't matter. It's about winning as a team unit, not individual scores and stats and accolades and all that wonderful stuff. So I have to agree with you. Baker Mayfield, no doubt, number 9 for me. He just has the intangibles. And whenever you leave Cleveland as a quarterback, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it is. It is. I'm gonna move it right along. My 10 is also Baker Mayfield. I was gonna put Brock Purdy there, but the only reason he's on this list is because he was Mr. Irrelevant. He's on a good team. Listen, I think the Eagles showed exactly who he was a few years ago. He is an exceptional quarterback. I think he's a few notches above what people consider a game manager. He can make the tough throws. He can read a defense. But the athletic ability, the leadership quality, I just think those are things he lacks. He doesn't control the locker room because everything that's been going on wrong in San Francisco the last few years. With a good leader at your quarterback position, puts all those things to bed. Ayuk's holding out. Debo had to be moved out of there. Greenlaw's in Denver now. Their defense is falling apart. I cannot put Brock Purdy on this list. Has he done more with less in his career? Probably, but Baker Mayfield's 10. He rounds out my top 10. Rudy Reyes, who's your 10?
The best ability, as we said, is availability. Now, I met Dak Prescott at Cowboys training camp. I wasn't too fond. I really wasn't. He didn't strike me as a very team-oriented, people-oriented. He would sign balls and drop them on the ground. That's not respectful. Somebody paid money not only to get that merchandise, but you're just going to drop it off like it's a piece of garbage and allow someone else to do it. So what did I do? I picked up the balls and I handed it to the people that he just dropped them on the floor from. So, yeah, not a fan.
That's a story.
At least from that standpoint.
That's a story.
However, and up until his injury, I have to put Dak Prescott at number 10. And the only reason why I'm putting Dak Prescott on my number 10 is because he means everything to that franchise. They don't have another franchise starting quarterback. They call it what it is. They didn't draft one. Of course, they're going to sign in some free agent competition, puts a fire underneath him, blah, blah, blah. Will that work? No, because Dak Prescott's going to show up. But will he be better than he was partially the year before and maybe since his career? That remains to be seen. I'm still waiting for Dak Prescott to get over the hump because sometimes the miscues have been his worst enemy. But that's why he's at 10 and will never be higher than that until he starts winning. And I mean in the regular season and helps his team get to postseason.
So I guess, Marvin, you agree he's 10?
Yeah, again, Rudy hit it. He hit it. At the end of the day, I believe Dak is the 10th best quarterback in this league. For me, again, eyeball test. I think he's a dog player as well. I do think he's a leader. I think he has tremendous ability, but he needs to win one. For the amount of money that they're spending. And I think Jerry. They hit on some of these draft picks. So he needs to win one at some point here. And but with that said, they have a guy. I wouldn't consider him to be elite, but he is good, and he's definitely good enough to win a chip. He's better than Eli. So yeah.
He's definitely better than Eli. Eli is the king of the nepotism, baby. He is, without a doubt. I know, people are talking about Hall of Fame. I'm like, Hall of what? Hall of being lucky to have a top 5 defense your entire career? Yeah, that's the Hall of Fame of that. But listen,
more like the Hall of Shame.
I have Dak on 12 on my list. Obviously, I'm absolutely biased on this. I'm an Eagles fan. I would put Purdy at 11 and
I
Dak
couldn't
at
tell
12.
with the Papali jersey on the wall. Steve.
What's that?
I said,
Yeah,
imagine
exactly.
you were Eagles fan with the Papali jersey on your wall. Vincent Papali.
Let's get into
OG
these
that
running
way.
backs, right? I think it's fair. We can pretty much fly through this pretty quickly. I don't think we're going to disagree on this. My first 3 would be Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry. I don't think we can really have any arguments for those top 3 for running back, right? Unless you want to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. Did I say something? Yes, I did actually. No, Derrick Henry is number 1 for me. Saquon at 2. Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons. Number 3, Jameer Gibbs, who's done absolutely everything for this Lions team from a running back position. And then the forgotten Las Vegas Raider, now a Green Bay Packer in the second year with the Green Bay Cheesers, is Josh Jacobs. So that's where my top 1 through 5 resides.
Yeah, I got Saquon, King Henry, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and Breece Hall.
Well, mine's Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Jameer Gibbs, and then I'll have was it Josh Jacobs there in Green Bay? That'll be my 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty simple.
Now,
The only reason why I'm giving Henry the nod at 1 and not Saquon Barkley is because of the production value and the yards after carry, yards from scrimmage. You take 5-6 people to get the guy down, almost impossible to do so. You maybe need 2, maybe 3 guys, depending on how far you let him get down the field for Saquon. Outside of that, yeah, I think it's all on the same page. As far as your guy, Breece Hall, I just don't see him as top 5. Maybe off the top 5 at 6, but not 5.
You don't watch him enough, Rudy. Trust me. This guy's you gotta watch this.
I watched him. Trust me, they play more AFC East here in the West Coast than they do AFC West games.
Yeah. He's a special player. He really is.
He's a beast. I interviewed him. The guy's a beast. There's no question. But Josh Jacobs, more experienced guy, behind a better line, more yards from scrimmage. You can put him in a myriad of situations, whether it's out on the outside. You can put him in a quick slant if you want those runs after a catch. He can give you a few, especially if you need a first down. Josh Jacobs is my guy at number 5, and then you get Breece Hall at 6 for me.
Yeah, he's a great player. He is. Saquon obviously for me was one. This guy reminds me of Reggie Bush when he was in college, but at the pro level. That's the kind of talent I think this guy is, man. Saquon is different. He is different. He's a game changer. He's a game breaker. Derrick Henry shows us that as well, but Saquon just does it so smooth and effortlessly, and he's just a different caliber athlete. He was my one. Henry was close. I mean, really, it could have been 1A, 1B type deal. Yeah. So there you go. And then Bijan is this. Bijan, I think we all agree he's in the top 5.
Yeah, he's someone I was almost going to put in there, but being in Atlanta, I think almost hurts his cause right now. But he's about to hit year 3, and I think now that you don't have Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and you got Michael Penix in there, I think Bijan Robinson is set to have a breakout year.
He is, because they're going to find ways to utilize him outside the line, and you're going to see Penix get to him a lot early and often.
Mm-hmm. So, my wide receivers, I'm just gonna round out top 5. Homer or not, AJ Brown's number 1. Jamar Chase is number 2. Tyreek Hill's number 3. Devontae Adams number 4. And I'll be nice, and CeeDee Lamb is my 5. I don't quite feel like he deserves it. Maybe just because I think he's a slot receiver merchant. But that's just my personal opinion on the guy.
Who's your number 1?
What's that?
Who's your number 1?
AJ.
Your top? AJ's the top
Brown,
receiver in the NFL?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually no, I'm gonna switch out. I forgot. I said Tyreek Hill. That has to be Jefferson's spot. That should be at 3.
Oh my goodness gracious!
So,
I'm standing different on this, like completely, except for my 5. And I'm going to say this with as much niceness as humanly possible. Jamar Chase is my number 1.
Yeah,
based on production,
he's
what
crazy.
he's done, even though he's had to catch some pretty awfully thrown balls because of the lack of protection by Cincinnati. Okay. Then you get Justin Jefferson, who absolutely lit up the screen every single time he touched the ball. Are you kidding me? The guy made catches that were just absolutely obscene, if not near, but in the end zone on a regular basis from Sam Darnold, who's now in Seattle. Then you have the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, you can call him Puka, you can call him whatever you want, but Puka Nacua is just he is him for wide receivers. He is that guy for wide receivers. He's shifty. He's got great handwork, great hand-eye coordination. He knows where to go. It takes 3 guys to get him down. Hard to find in coverage because he's so shifty and quick. And then you have Malik Neighbors for me. And of course, he did bulk up a little bit, and then they acquired another wide receiver. So good for New York. I just don't think it's going to be enough, especially when the QB has yet to be announced for a starter. And then the aforementioned CeeDee Lamb. The only reason why he's on the Lamb at 5 is because, well, he doesn't really have a quarterback to catch the ball from, but the ones that he did make were absolutely spectacular last season. Outside of that, I got no other dog in the fight.
Jesus.
All right. I got Justin number 1. I got Chase number 2. CeeDee Lamb number 3. Puka number 4. AJ at the 5.
All right.
Yeah. That's me being objective. That's me being objective. Again,
If I wanted to throw something in there, I'd root for my team, but we didn't have number 1 nothing. So you got no one to put on that list.
All right. My top 5 defense, it's actually really simple. Baltimore Ravens. Your New York Jets, they don't get enough credit. That defense is absolutely sickening over there. And the fact that you guys don't have it together on offense is beyond me. The Kansas City Chiefs at 3, my Philadelphia Eagles at 4, and the Cleveland Browns at 5. Go on with yours, Marvin.
All right. I got Ravens 1. I got Eagles 2. I got Denver 3. Houston 4. Vikings at 5. No, I didn't put my Jets in there.
Yeah, they don't deserve a nod on the list. I'm sorry.
It's a conversation.
People ran
It's a
through them like
conversation.
a hot knife through butter. There's no way you put them on top 5.
We got
kidding
guys.
me?
We got guys coming back. We have a defensive coach now. We have a great
back, yeah.
coordinator.
Based on 2024 stats for top 5 list, yeah. If you want to talk about potential for 25, then yeah, they would be on a top 5 list, absolutely, but not today. The Denver Broncos. I have the Eagles at number 2, Vikings at 3, Chargers at 4, and the Detroit Lions at number 5 because they played lights out and balls out every single time they played last season. So if they had missed out, they missed out on the AFC Championship game, but when it's all said and done, I think the Lions deserve a nod based on what they did, even though the injuries up front were relatively devastating towards the latter part of the season. So, yeah.
All right, let's moving right along, and I want to get to this. I sent you guys both the list, and I wanted to go over the news that came out today. That NFL arbitrator found that the NFL had colluded regarding player guaranteed contracts. I sent you guys both the links. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it, talk about it. What are your thoughts on that an arbitrator found out that the league has colluded to not give the players guaranteed contracts? It's definitely I'm going to start with Marvin on this one, being a former NFL player, being involved in the NFLPA committee. Obviously, the PA had to be involved in some way, shape, or form for it to get to this level. But what are your thoughts on this, my friend?
This is another unfortunate act by the NFL just being caught. We're just trying to be shady, and really, in my opinion, hurt the players and hurt the growth of this league and hurt the natural evolution of what this should be. The NFL players have had to fight from the beginning, just for basic rights, health benefits, so on and so forth, retirement benefits, retirement options. My father called it modern day slavery. When he spoke to when he met with the Supreme Court on this. But at the end of the day, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't appear, if I'm correct, that they're going to do anything about it. It's one of those things where I think it happened. This conversation that was overheard or recorded, this happened, I think, in 2022. And it's been known. It's just, it's just now coming out. But it's unfortunate that these players who put their lives on the line and go out there and play a great game, they volunteer, they choose to play this game. It's their option. But at the end of the day, when you look at their sacrifice and how much money these teams are making and what these players' commitments are, it's unfortunate that these teams, are talking about, and I've already had conversation about not guaranteeing these guys' futures when they can do so. It's just another act of greed, unfortunately. And for me, because I'm just hearing about this, to be honest with you, I want to see what comes from this, what actually happens now that it's out there, and see where this goes. But it's unfortunate. It's really sad, and I'm looking for some type of action to take place, which I'm sure it will.
Rudy, what are your thoughts on this? When I guess it came on the topics list today, I'm sure you did some type of research on it. What are your gut response on this?
My gut response is, how dare they? How dare they do that to players, to undermine them in such a way that they don't believe that this information would ever get out to, forget just the players. We're talking about the public, and the court of public opinion is going to fry them. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're doing people wrong, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the backlash is going to be? Who do you think is going to ultimately be the judge, jury, and convictor? Those that don't plan on attending your games this season, those that don't plan on signing up with NFL Plus this season, this is a black eye. And the fact alone, the NFLPA and the NFL both colluded together in order to prevent this documentation that came out in a 61-page dossier. 61 pages. Most of it probably nonsense or rhetoric, but the other part of it is contracts and monies. And think about this. The timing after Deshaun Watson received $230 million guaranteed contract by the Cleveland Browns, it only happened days after that. So that tells you that they were already on the preface of putting something like this together before it was going to get out of control because they knew it was going to. So they put a hush-hush conversation together, and the clear preponderance of evidence, which weighs in both civil as well as criminal, is absolutely just hysterical. It's funny to believe that they could hide this information from the players, and the fact alone these guys bust their butts every single day, every time they're out involuntary mini training camps. What does that even mean? You know it's voluntary. You have to go. There's no involuntary. And then people start saying, well, it's contract talks and they're not getting a new contract, X, Y, Z, and ABC. Would you? After a team that you praised by the badge and goes by the badge, and you believe that badge? Is it a badge of honor? No. This is a badge of dishonor if you're looking at it from a different through a different lens, through a different perspective.
You guys are all right here, and this is why I've been saying for a while that a lot of these players' contracts should be guaranteed, and be like, oh well, it's going to get out of control like these baseball It doesn't matter. The players of this league take the more abuse than any of the other four major sports. Yes, but basketball and hockey. They play 82 games. Baseball plays 162 games. You can have those conversations, but they're not getting hit on baseball at all, really. There's almost no athletes really hitting each other unless you get hit with a line drive or something to that nature.
They're sliding to home plate.
Yeah, and which they can almost pretty much done away with that. You don't ever see a catcher getting run over, standing on the train tracks, so to speak. That doesn't really happen anymore. Football, there's so much that happens between organized team activities, training camp, preseason games, regular season games. These guys only have medical care until they're out of the league for 5 years. 5 years. It doesn't matter. So, I think Warren Sapp did an interview. He said the moment he got his jacket, he was done. Then it was the fight to try to find medical coverage on a guy who's played more than 80% of the snaps while he was playing. 80%. Think about that, the wear and tear on his knees, his ankles, all of his joints. Who's going to give him, what medical provider is going to want to take that on? Not many, so he's probably at this point in time, paying out the wazoo to keep himself covered, to keep his family covered. I'm always going to be pro-athlete. This is not just a slap in the face to current and former players, but, I hope that the actual journalists and media that do exist in our world picks this up and runs with it and holds the NFL accountable for it. This is, we talk about, the rookie contracts, they're playing, they're out of control. These contracts, no, they're not. They're being actually compensated for their putting their bodies on the line from now and into the future. Doing something like this completely undermines that thing that's sitting there saying that this is on the up and up. This is how we do things. No, because you guys always have backroom door deals that you try to keep it away from the public, keep it away from the players, things of that nature. This needs to be put out there and put on the biggest platform that the players have, that the media has, and be talked about. You can't be sitting there doing this to players and think there won't be any backlash. This better be just as big as when we started talking about CTE. It's that damn. You cannot sit there and undermine athletes in this way, and then sit there and say like, "This is how we run things." I'm irritated. I'm sure when I said it to Marvin, it's something that got his blood going. But just from the time he's played, things that your dad's done. God, brother, I know you got something to say.
No, especially when you consider that the NFL is projecting $25 billion this year, something like that. It's unfortunate. Again, like I said, these guys are going out there playing a great game. They're playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. We'll be honest, the human body wasn't made for football. These men have made a decision. But with that said, through their decision and through their hard work and what they're doing, they got, TV sponsors and merch and people who want to come to the games, and they're generating so much money for these 32 owners. Just to hear that these owners have gotten together and decided that, no, we shouldn't guarantee these guys. Let's sign them up for the for the big number in the headline, but when they get hurt in 2 years, none of that money is guaranteed. It's a real bad situation. It really is. It's unfortunate, but this has been the history of the NFL since the beginning. To be honest, this is what players have been fighting for: this fundamental rights to be, to work for an employer and get basic rights as they should. So, guaranteed contracts should be in play. They're, the owners, whether the team goes 0-17 or not, are all making money anyway. For them, it's all a plus. But again, as you approach the next CBA and all the stuff, I mean, it's just it's unfortunate for the relationship, and for the game, and it's disrespectful to the players, and the fans should be upset about this. So, this is something,
Well, this fan's definitely upset about it. Rudy, your last thoughts before we move to the next question.
The fact alone that this continues to be an anti-athlete movement, when these guys put themselves on the line every single time they touch the field, every single time they're at training camp, every single moment they come in contact with another human being, means that it could be a day shorter on their lifespan physically, maybe mentally and emotionally, maybe combine all those three. This is a slap in the face to many athletes, and I've interviewed plenty of them, past, present, draftees, you name it. I've done it in 11 years of doing this. And one thing that I do know is that these guys, when they get to the CBA, when that becomes available to vote on, guarantee there's going to be a lot better turnout than there has been in previous occasions because of this incident, because of this issue, and the irresponsibility by the NFL and the NFLPA.
There's going to be a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes, and I think you're right. You are going to see a lot more players kind of stand up and let their voice be heard. But moving on to the next one, we were talking about those Washington Commanders. As the graph shows, they are now, by average of the starters, the oldest team in the league, which is kind of weird considering the average starting age about 27. But we already know that they have a second place schedule. They have a fairly winnable schedule this year. Do you feel that age is going to play a factor into it, or as we were already talking about, they got Super 5 at quarterback, Jaden Daniels. He is going to be one of the faces of this league over the next 10 years, in my opinion. He is that good. Do you think they overcome that? Or do you think maybe the tougher schedule plays a difference into it? How are you feeling on this one? Let's start it off with Rudy.
I think strength of schedule is certainly going to play a huge part in regards to what that looks like, whether it's the strength up front, strength in the middle, or strength at the end of the season. And I think based on their easier schedule they had in 2024 is going to see a lot different type of teams they're going to be facing with a stronger level, right? So trying to match them up accordingly. And I think that was done, could have been incidentally, depends on who you ask. But I think that when you look at the Commanders, Dan Quinn, when you look at Jaden Daniels, when you look at all the moving parts and pieces, and the fact alone that they could win at least 10 games this coming season says a lot about what they believe in Jaden Daniels, what they believe in whether or not they can not only repeat their past performance, but to expansively grow beyond that in order to become that much better and to put basically the Eagles out of commission and pluck feathers in order to win that NFC, East title. That's going to be their biggest hurdle, their biggest competitor, because they've given them problems and vice versa. Every single game they both played last year, it was a neck and neck. It was a great game to watch. Don't get me wrong. I watched all of them. But when it comes to those particular opponents within the same division, the same conference, these guys are going to become very heated enemies a lot sooner than later. You talk about the Steelers and the Ravens, and then there were the Steelers and Browns, but the Browns really never kind of won anything. So it's easier to put the Ravens in that spot. Yeah. But when it's all said and done, I think you look at the type of leadership that this team has, and Dan Quinn, Dane Daniels, there's just so many moving parts, and I think he's just going to get better, and better all the time in Jaden Daniels. No doubt in my mind.
Marvin.
So I'll tell you what, I think what you have really are a bunch of motivated veterans, guys who see this young kid and realize they got a chance. Because you get in the playoffs, then you got a shot, and I think that matters. At the end of the day, you talk about ring chasing. That's been something I've been hearing this week. The Ron kicked off, but no, seriously, these guys at the end, if they're making just max minimum or veteran minimum, and they see they got a shot with this guy, that veteran team absolutely can do something. I think they'd be excited about that. In regards to the schedule, no, there are no easy games in the NFL. I promise you that. There are no easy games in the NFL. At the beginning of the season, you really don't know who's who yet. Last year's team was last year's team. When we've all seen that with our teams, right? Our team went 12-5 this year. So we think next year we're going to go, 14-3, and then you end up going 8-9 or something like that. It happens. So I think the benefit of having a veteran team is that, they're going to be able to fight through the fact that the schedule is set up the way it is, because that can kind of play on you a little bit as a player if you're not focused and disciplined. So I think I think the Commanders absolutely are a real team led by a real guy, and I expect them to push for the playoffs and then some.
Listen, I think the fact that was that.
Sorry about that, Steve. I'm just being honest.
Hey, listen. I see what's in front of me. I already said it. They leapfrogged Dallas. Dallas is going to be lucky to win 8 games this year. I know everyone's happy. They traded for Pickens. They have 2 legitimate receivers. It's going to fall on Dak Prescott's shoulders, and he's going to crumble like he always does. Listen, he's the king of being good in the regular season, but once the lights turn on, once the pressure turns up, just what I don't know if it's just something he has on about him or whatever, but that's gonna be what it is. Rudy's sitting there saying he's got to go. I'm gonna do one last thing for Rudy before we get going on. I gotta get your thoughts on this one, brother. He basically broke it today that this is his last season. This is his swan song. Let me know about your Pittsburgh Steelers, and how do you feel about Aaron Rodgers taking his farewell tour as a Pittsburgh Steeler, brother?
I did not see this coming. I knew people were trying to egg it on and saying, well, Tomlin's had discussions, and you heard Omar Khan having discussions. There's just a lot of moving parts in this. First of all, I wasn't a fan. I'm really still not a fan. I don't care if he wins 12 games, 13 games. I don't like it. The guy's a head case. And if this is his last opportunity to do anything, it's going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. I almost cringe I almost want to throw up in my mouth when I say that, because I'm just not a fan of this guy. He confused inoculation with vaccination. Who does that? Who knows anything about what inoculation is? You get that when you're a child, when they shoot you for, tetanus shot. A vaccination is when we dealt with COVID. You can't. They're not on the same playing field, man. Come on. So I'm not a fan of this, but when you stick to it from a football perspective, I still don't like the pick, but I want to see what he can do. I want to see what he's capable of doing. He showed it a little bit in New York, but only because the offensive line was The offensive weaponry was kind of on the fence, decent. Defense, again, you could slice cheese through that line if you needed to at times, not all the time, not at every given down. I know Marvin's like, oh boy, I don't know. But the way other teams were able to run on them and cut through those lanes because their offensive line was just that much better means that the Jets need to buff up real quick, get some weight on that line, put some more creative pass rushing, put some better schemes up there to give them a chance, especially in the red zone. However, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, I'm interested to see what he's able to do, but I'm not a fan. I'm not overly convinced. I'm not hype. I'm definitely not going to go buy an Aaron Rodgers jersey, even though I know other people already have. I don't really care. I'll wear some some throwback to Stallworth or Bradshaw or Heinz Ward, somebody, but Aaron Rodgers, Steelers uniform? Okay, sure. No.
All right, Rudy. Appreciate your time tonight. I guess give us your let everyone know where to follow you, where to keep up with you, and we'll be talking again soon, my friend.
Marvin, a pleasure. Steve, always a pleasure. Great chopping up with you guys. You guys can find me on social at Reyes. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me at therudedogshow.net and .com. Yes, I own both of those. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Donkey Shane in advance at the Rude Dog Show on YouTube. And you always find me chatting about sports on social. So stay tuned for that. Lots of NFL as well, with training camp starting next month.
All right, Rudy. Appreciate your time, brother. Go get some food and relax.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thanks.
Yeah, you too. All righty then. So that was one Rudy Reyes. And last one, because I even threw in a USC question here at the end for you, my friend. I did find something for you. Did want to talk about the stuff that happened with Shedeur this week. Obviously, he's in the news. His license could be suspended. He's gotten 2 speeding tickets, and his last offense crushed him in there at 101 miles an hour. Did we not learn our lessons, players, from what happened to Henry Ruggs? Did we not? Listen, there's no reason you're going 40 some odd miles an hour over the posted speed limit. I don't care where you're late to, where you're supposed to be, what you're trying to get to. Let's not take someone else's life, do something stupid along them lines. Let's be professionals. What are your thoughts on this one, Marvin?
Listen, I'm with you 100%, Steve. I think we forget what it is to be young. And I think most people don't know what it's like to be young and rich and young and rich and famous and young and rich and famous your whole life. And, I think as a whole, I really think this kid has held together and done a great job. I think he's a mature kid, but he's a kid. We forget he's 21. Steve, a lot of us drove fast at 21, man. A lot of us drove fast. A lot of us have memories of that one night, that one time on that one road trip. That one time we was doing this with him. So, we've all been there. It's unfortunate because we look at him and we realize, there was so much said about him in the draft process and why he dropped, right? And then you have the first incident. Then you have another incident, right? And it's just like, are all these things true? Or are we now looking at something different? Is this thing unraveling? I don't think we're there. I don't think that's what this is. I think it's a young guy just believing he's invincible, and not, it happens to you, but you're used to being able to just move forward in life, not with any super crazy consequences, I don't know. I think that this is a story of a guy just being young, and being immature, which you hope. Go ahead.
I'm with you there. What I don't like is then you had Colin Cowherd less than a week ago talking about how great he is. He's this, he's that. You've seen reports like this come out. An unnamed coach basically said he's been in the league X amount of years. He's never seen a rookie absolutely dominate mini camps the way he's done this. So then how are we sitting here a week later because he's made some foolish stuff as he is a young man doing them? Like I just said, I did stuff like that. I did. Yeah. Obviously we were in a different time. There wasn't cameras all over the place. That there wasn't as many cops on the road as there are today. I did that stuff too, so I can kind of get it. But at the same time, like, listen, you can't be on a residential road, man. If you're on a highway or something like that, goofing around, maybe that's something you can kind of like, you got this type of car, you're a 21-year-old kid. I'll say, well, the same thing that a cop said to me. There's racetracks for this stuff, brother. You have enough money, you can rent out a racetrack. Now, he has enough money, he can go rent out Daytona if he wants to. So, I mean, he has outlets where this is stuff that he enjoys, that he wants to do, as a young man, as an athlete. He has avenues and the finance to do these things. Don't put yourself in the position to have the media continually run you down. I think he has a great opportunity being where he went, because Cleveland's one of the teams that I thought he would wind up going to. I actually thought it was going to be Las Vegas, and they were going to have Geno Smith kind of mentor him. Now they brought in a couple guys that could take care of him. Don't let your personal stuff ruin what you could potentially be on the field, which what it sounds like is that everyone loves you. Everyone loves you. Don't become a headline for the wrong reasons. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Like, listen, he's a kid. We were all at that point where we wanted to do things, but he has the finances where he can do it in a way where he's not going to get in trouble.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. Again, we're just seeing a young guy grow up. That's all. We're just seeing a young guy grow up.
Mm-hmm. I think it was funny what you heard what his brother said, right?
No, what did he say?
Oh man, he was doing the big brother thing, man. He's like basically sitting there just telling people to be careful on the road. You got Shador driving around here. He's definitely doing the big brother thing, teasing his brother for getting in some stuff. So
listen, we've all been there, man. We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not gonna run him over the coals for this. I don't think he's a bad kid or anything like that. He just has to make better decisions. That's all.
And he will. He will.
Yeah, I think he will. Now, I know you wanted to talk some USC all day. I found something we could talk about. Your USC Trojans are one of the teams that has the most blue chip commits out of all the major teams. You got 20.
And this is wrong. This is no. We have 30. We have 30. We have 30. We have 30 commits. Luke Rychel out of New Jersey, the top-rated player out of New Jersey. It was between us and Ohio State. Obviously, this kid, he knows what he's doing. He made the right decision. He's coming to USC. But now he was number 30, and we now have the number one class. We're looking at a historic class. They're talking about arguably the greatest class of all time is based upon their ratings and how this goes. And this is all the different networks who do this. But I think I cut you off, Steve. Go ahead. You got me excited.
Oh, listen, I'm listening to you talk about your team, brother.
Yeah. It's listen, Lincoln Riley and Chad Bowen. Chad Bowen is our general manager. We got him out of Notre Dame. Obviously, he was looking for bigger and better things, and USC reached out. We got him. Hiring Chad Bowen in combination of already having Lincoln Riley and having Jen Cohen, and for everything that our president has done, Carol Folt. This is a historic recruiting class. USC had talked about being the Mecca of college football. Lincoln Riley talked about being the Mecca of college football when he was hired. And now we're seeing it come to fruition. We're seeing everything come together between the coaching staff, the facilities, the NIL opportunities, just the academics. I mean, everything that LA has to offer, the outstanding alumni. We're seeing USC go to places that schools have never seen. So this is the beginning of something very special. You're going to see that first game of the season, August 30th, I believe it is, 31st. But USC's popping right now. We on fire. Yeah,
30 is something to pique your eyebrows up at, and you're talking about like it's a historic class, and that's already, you guys were powerhouse in the early 2000s. The list of names that has came out of USC has been astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is one of the highly touted destinations if you're a college football athlete. USC is one of those places. So the fact that you guys got 30 out of this incoming class is insanity. Especially
rumor has it we're going for 35. What I'm hearing is that we're going for 35, but right now we're at 30. Yeah, we got dogs. Steve,
well, that might have been an old graphic I got a hold of. I wanted to talk a little USC with you.
That's why you got me.
It's going to be interesting to see how the other schools tried to keep up. If you guys have that many prospects coming in on an incoming class on top of what you already had. How many of those guys do you think will be like a starting freshman, or even before the season's over take over roles?
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a left tackle, Kenya Pepe. out of IMG, LA kid out of IMG. I think this guy realistically is going to be able to go in there and play as a left tackle. He's size, skill, elite level coaching from the school at IMG, and I expect him to play early. We have a guy right now, Jakeem Stewart, who's already in camp, already enrolled, defensive lineman out of Louisiana. We won a tough battle with LSU and a few others, but obviously this kid, realized that the next level is at USC. D lineman, he should do really well. And those are really two big guys. The Sanders kid, Luke Wayful, defensive end out of Jersey, tight end, Mark Bowman out of Mater Dei coming in. I expect him to play as a freshman next year when he comes. He comes in the fall. But we got some guys, man. I tell you what, the number one guy to look out for, in my opinion, as I think about it, without question, is R.J. Sermons, cornerback, LA kid. His father also played at USC. Rodney Sermons played a little bit in the league as well. R.J. Sermons as a corner is a 2025 signee. I think he's already there, and I expect him to be one of the next great players at USC. Watch out for R.J. Sermons.
You heard it from Marvin, my friend. The USC is working their way to being back as one of the programs in college football. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I love that Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush USC teams when they were ripping through things, and they were fun to watch, man. It was a good time to be a USC fan there. I hope that Lincoln Riley's brought in enough good kids to kind of restore you guys to that national championship contention type program. It's been heavy at the top the last few years. I think there's a lot of programs that have a lot of great kids. So we'll see if this class tends to push USC over and back into that national title game contention.
We'll see. Listen, we things look good. Things look really good. I mean, just being objectively optimistic. Everything's in place the way it needs to be. They're really doing a great job. Jen Cohen is a great hire for USC. We got her from University of Washington, our athletic director. She's been outstanding. And with Riley and Bowen and our president, they've shown a commitment to football, a real commitment to football, and just a commitment to these young players, to be honest with you. And I'm excited about our present and even more excited about our future.
Well, it's definitely looking like it's a bright future. And as we're going through the last few minutes here, Marvin, you know how we typically end things off is kind of throw it over to you. Let everyone know where to follow you, what you got going on, things that you might be getting involved with, and you want to let the people know about. The time is yours, my friend.
Absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, I am dad and I am husband. My kids, my wife are everything. My best – for me, the best thing I got going on is being able to watch my kids practice their sports, play their sports, hang out with my wife. Any of y'all can find me on Facebook. I don't do a lot of social media right now. That's coming. But you can find me on Facebook, Marvin Powell III, and you can find me here every Tuesday that Steve will have me. And very thankful to be here today, Steve.
Well, we love having you on here. We love picking your brain, hearing your thoughts on things. We had a fun one today. We broke down our own top 10 quarterback list. Obviously, as we got to the back end, we all had a little disagreement. We thought this player's better. Mm-hmm. We thought this one should be on. This one should be off. A fun episode. Hopefully, we'll get Ben back on here next week and get everything situated for our normal crew. Get a couple of the other guys back going on. I know one of his other show hosts should be joining us next week. So if you want to hop on again, my friend, the door's always open. I just want to make sure that we're not impeding you from that quality time with your family as well. I know I can see you're hot over there, man. I want you to go cool off. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Other than that, fam, I will see you guys tomorrow. And, hopefully Ben got everything squared away with his family, and we will be back on here for the fan in the end. Got a lot of fun stuff going on. The Urban Fryer interview last week was fun. Got some insightful stuff out of him. Keep an eye out for that Ricky Waters interview that should be dropping sometime early in August. We got a lot of fun stuff going on here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network, from the Inside the Pigskin and all the other programming we got on here. me, Ben, Marvin, Chris T, all the athletes that pop on and give us our time. Appreciate everything. Other than that, I'm Steve. This was another episode of Inside the Pigskin, and we will see you guys next week, my friend. Peace out.